At face value, the Rashi attempts to provide a reason for the death of the two sons of Aharon. He gives us two options. One, Rabbi Eliezer, who maintains it was a Mora Halakha issue, and the second option is that of Rabbi Ishmael. It was an issue of coming into the Mikdash area in a state of intoxication. Shetuye Yayin. The opening words of this perek seem to state very clearly what the sin of Bnei Aaron were, that they brought an Eish Zara. As such, one could argue that there was no need for Rashi to make any commentary or any attempt to explain the reasons for the deaths of Nadav and Avihu. Let's assume for the moment that there is a need for some interpretation or understanding as to why Nadav and Avihu had to die. According to the rules of Pshuta Shel Mikra, whatever reasons that are to be given need to be found within the context of the actual text. The position of Rabbi Eliezer that there was an issue of Mora Halacha Bifnei Rabbah does not appear in the text, nor does the intoxication option from Rabbi Ishmael, the Shtuya Yayin, find any mention in Pasuk 1.
The source mentioned earlier that the words Asher lo tziva otam points to the sin of Mora Halacha Bifnei Rabbah is valid within the world of Remez or Drush. Similarly, the placement of the prohibition against intoxication, while in the Mikdash, uses a Remez approach. And for Rashi, who bases his commentary on the Pshuta Shel Mikra, there needs to be an explanation within the text that justifies the two options that he presents.
There is an assumption to be made with respect to Rashi's commentaries to the Chumash text, and that is that there needs to be a match between the heading and the content of the commentary. Ostensibly, the Rashi appears to be offering reasons as to why the two sons of Aharon died. If that be the thrust of the commentary, then the heading should have been Vayamutu, or possibly Vayamutu Lifnei Hashem. In actuality, Rashi's heading is Vateitzeyesh. So question number 3 relates to a heading problem, that the heading does not match the content. An extension to the precision thesis of the Lubavitcher Rebbe in his Sichot, when dealing with Rashi's commentary to the Chumash text, there are a set of rules that are applied to a situation when Rashi brings two explanations or two commentaries, as he does here. Within the world of Medrash, one does not ask why there are two commentaries, because Medrash is a document that records many options with respect to the text. Rashi, however, is a Pshute Shel Mikra man, and when option A and option B are offered, a thorough understanding of Rashi's commentary requires that we provide an explanation for the need for each of the two options.
I refer to this process as the multiple options rule.
Very often, an explanation to the text that answers one difficulty at the very same time creates a second difficulty. When this happens, Rashi offers a second option, option B, that responds to this secondary difficulty. The reason why option B is not option A is because option B, although it answers the secondary difficulty, has its own problems within the framework of Pshuta Shel Mikra. So in effect, we have option A responding to the primary difficulty, creating a secondary difficulty answered by option B. In doing so, option B has its own problems within the framework of Pshuta Shel Mikra. These problems do not exist if we adopt option A. A value judgment is made by Rashi in terms of which of the two options is more faithful to the Pshuta Shel Mikra of the Pasuk, and that option is placed first. Question 4 looks at the need for the two options. Firstly, what is the deficiency in the Mora Halacha B'fnei Rabbi option A that option B, Shetuya Yayin, responds to successfully?
Conversely, we need to identify the shortcoming in option 2, Shetuya Yayin, which is addressed by option 1, Mora Halacha B'fnei Rabbah. And finally, what is the advantage of option 1, Mora Halacha B'fnei Rabbah, over Shetuya Yayin, in that Rashi places it ahead of the second option?